Hey everybody, this is Josh with the first episode of the Arrows podcast. I'm here with a good friend of mine, Keoni, Ramirez-Hall.
Yes, sir.
Of I can't even say one business because you probably have like 8 by the time this runs out. So, but yeah, and I'll let you introduce yourself. So just for everybody that's watching, can you just give us a little bit of a rundown of kind of like what you do day to day and kind of like what you're up to?
By day, I'm a personal trainer. By night, I'm a superhero.
Word.
By night, no. So yeah, for the most part, I'm mostly known for my personal training. I've been doing that for about 4 or 5 years now. It's probably when I took on my first one-on-one client, but I've kind of always been in and out of the fitness industry since I was probably 18. Fell in love with fitness in high school, all that, and finally decided to turn it into a business a couple years back, and the rest is history kind of a thing. And other than that, I'm also in the process of building my own apparel line.
Hey.
So which is kind of like my passion project on the side that I'm working on. But
damn. Yeah. So let's start with the fitness stuff real quick. So It sounds like that was a passion for you too. Kind of just, were you thinking of making it a business from the start, or was it just something you like doing? Just like after school or whatever.
It kind of fell into my lap, to be honest. It's something I should have made a business out of a long time ago.
Yeah.
Because I found my love for fitness in high school, like I mentioned, and everyone said, "Oh, right out of high school, like just be a personal trainer. You love fitness. You're in shape. Like why don't you do something you love?" And I, being a young ignorant kid, I said, let me go get a 9 to 5, and
okay.
let me get a grown man job kind of a thing. Ended up working for UPS for 3.5 years. Hated my job.
Yeah.
Tried everything under the sun, from janitorial to sales to.
Wait, you did sales?
Yeah.
What'd you sell?
Actually, I worked at a gym, but didn't do personal training.
Jeez.
So I did the sales. I did the membership sales, and did that for a while. That was a horrible experience. Did retail, so tried a little bit of everything, and kind of ran away from the idea of being a personal trainer. And then my now wife mentioned, you work out, like. You love fitness. Pretty much everything everybody was telling me when I was 18, like, why don't you actually pursue being a personal trainer? And I said, you know what? Maybe I'll put my pride aside and do it. And the rest, it all came to fruition. And
what was holding you back? Like, why didn't you do it right away?
It was a humbling thing. In my younger years, I thought too highly of myself, and I needed some humility. When I learned that there's no job, below me, I think what it really was is when I had to take a janitorial job and had to scrub toilets for a living.
I was about to ask, like, what was like the wall you hit? You're like, oh, okay, this is it.
When it comes to like business wise, I think that was probably the job that really like took me down a notch. Because, it wasn't just any janitorial job. I actually worked in cleaning up a dialysis center. So it was a lot of blood, throw up, and things of that sort.
You still want to eat dinner after this?
I'm game. I can stomach anything.
Yeah,
so.
Okay.
But, yeah, so it was a humbling experience. And then when I realized, this is something I really should be doing. And because I was already the fitness guy to all my friends. It was, they're like, well, Keoni works out, like why don't hit him up some workouts? Are you training anybody? Like, can I work out with you? And so it was kind of like, it was something I was already kind of initially doing. So why not get paid for it?
Oh my gosh, I think that's everyone I run into that's very like entrepreneurial and like hasn't fallen flat on their face yet, and you're part of that group in my mind. It always starts out like that, like what would you do for free anyway?
Yeah.
And now, how can we do it how can we do what we would do for free, not for free?
Exactly.
So I think that's a cool origin story. So talk to me about the beginning of Grizzly Bear life. Like, talk to me about like the early days, like getting your first clients. What did that look like?
My first client, I was working out at In Shape, a gym in Vacaville, and they had a membership there. So I was pretty much training them after hours when the staff wasn't there, or like the other personal trainers, because it's kind of like imposing on their business.
Yeah.
So I kind of had to sneak around that. But the actual Grizzly Bear life and fitness part of it, where it became an actual business, was more because the business itself started off as a mobile virtual business. So it became more, I would bring the gym to people in the comfort of their own home, private studio session, local parks, depending on the style of training we were doing. So what I had to actually start off with a 1 gallon water jug.
What?
That's what we use for weights. A water jug.
The hustle was real, man. Damn.
I wouldn't buy it. I would have my clients buy a $1 jug, and they'd come to the session, and we'd do a full body workout using just a water jug. And eventually, as I built clientele, I was able to purchase more equipment until eventually I had medicine balls, light dumbbells, resistant bands, speed ladders, cones, TRX bands, things of that sort, to make the whole experience a little bit more versatile and add a little bit more depth to your workouts.
Just up the production value
a
little bit.
Exactly. So,
hey, word out to all you want to be entrepreneurs out there. He made his clients get $1 water jug, and they did the workouts that he set up. Man, if you are tripping about gear right now before you start your business, you gotta call Keoni, because that. At least I had like a nicer camera to start out with. You were like, yo, we're getting with some water jugs.
Yeah.
So you didn't even let that stop you. Like, no gear did not stop you.
Because there was a demand for my services. So I wasn't going to let that detour me from helping people. They obviously have goals, they have needs, and they don't know how to do it. And so they need some sort of assistance. So I wasn't going to let that stop.
It wasn't the gear that they wanted. It was your expertise. It was like
the knowledge.
Yeah,
the knowledge and the credibility that I had in the field, so that's how it started.
Damn. How did you get that first client?
I'm trying to think. First
couple maybe.
Probably honestly through social media, to be honest. I think people, because I was well known in the area through social media, constantly posting workouts and things of that sort. That's where a lot of my traffic would come from, was people DMing me or me reaching out to people who would say, oh, I need a personal trainer. Oh, hey, I know a guy, So
yeah.
It's just being very involved on those social media platforms made me way more easily accessible to those people who needed my service.
How long has it been?
So
since you I guess technically started.
So yeah, I think I took my first one-on-one client like 2014.
Mm-hmm.
So 2014, 2015, somewhere.
That's when it was a side hustle
kind of a thing, working other jobs and things of that sort. But in recent years, actually partnered or came on to a local gym here in town, where I've now become the PT manager there as well. So I oversee the whole personal training department. So it's made things a lot easier for me to not have to spread myself so thin, where I'm driving from Concord to Elk Grove to train clients. But you got to go where people are at.
Oh my gosh.
So now it's like I have my home base that I can work out of, which has made things a whole lot easier. So I went from working with 3 to 6 clients at a time to now working with 17, around 17 or so.
The glow up is real.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and then, the people come, people go. So it fluctuates, come January, I'm working with about 20 or so, 25 clients.
Basically like 4 years of 4 or 5, like if that first year was kind of like, testing the waters and stuff. It's basically like 4 years of like, man, really trying to push this. You feel like you still love it?
Oh, absolutely. It's probably one of the most rewarding fields to be in, to watch people literally take back their lives. It's like, for instance, I have one client, or he's no longer my client. He's actually moved on to, he doesn't even need me anymore, where he's gotten off his diabetic medicine. He's in better shape than he was when he was 20 years old, and
That's
he's
hot.
in his 50s.
That's hot.
So like there's people who struggle with just getting down into a chair, getting out of the car, and now they're out there doing speed ladders, in their 60s and 70s,
For a fact, I can't do speed ladders right now. So shout out to whoever that person is.
Yeah. So it's, like I said, just watching people take control of their lives and just completely like drink from the fountain of youth, pretty much.
Damn. Well, I want to switch gears real quick because now, I mean, the past year I've been following the creation, and I know I remember even when you were talking about this idea, even before you put it out, of the creation and the development of the new apparel brand.
Yeah.
Because I know even before with Grizzly Bear Life, like you were putting out merch, blah blah blah, but this is like a whole nother thing. So you want to kind of talk a little bit about Urban Añejo?
Yeah,
am I saying that right?
So it's a passion project of mine that almost a year ago. So the backstory behind it is in 2014, December 24, 2014, my grandmother passed. She'd been fighting cancer for a long time, and so my last living grandparent is my grandfather, or call him Grandpa Moco, abuelito. And so the 24th is a day that we all as a family go and spend the day with him, so he's not alone. And we spend that time and we hang out and we drink Pepsi because my grandma loved Pepsi and stuff like that. And so we're all at the house, and it's kind of family's on the mind, family's on the brain. And I go to use the restroom in my grandfather's bathroom, and in his room he has this big canvas of a picture of him and 3 of his brothers in Chicago when they were like young teens, and the picture spoke to me, and it was like, this is, like I said, this is my last living grandparent. Like, I want to do something. I need something to carry on the legacy, because growing up, he always had stories and adventures, and he's forever got these crazy stories he tells about his growing up in the streets of Chicago and meeting my abuelita and all that. And so it resonated with me. And so when I got home that night, I just meditated on it. I took a picture of the photo, and I just kept looking at it, and it just kept speaking to me. I'm like, I need to do something. And so the idea of an apparel line inspired by his life and my abuelita's life growing up in the streets of Chicago came into fruition. So,
damn.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's such a compelling story to me, because like you always hear about these people that just want to create, like a t-shirt line or a brand or whatever, but it's like why?
Yeah.
And a lot of times, especially in recent years, with like hype beast culture and stuff, it's just to cash in.
Yeah.
So like this motivation of yours is like very it's refreshing to me. Well, so like what's your family's kind of response to it all, because it's so family driven,
right? So like my cousins are like gung-ho about it. Like, they're like, I had one cousin like, send me a picture of the logo, I want to get it tatted on me. Like, whoa, slow down bro, slow down. Like, we're just getting started, kind of a thing. My grandfather, he's kind of like, he's like, well, if you want to do it, like, he's like just don't put out any videos of me. So I'm like, that's fine, I don't have to do that, because I actually interviewed him to get like the backstory of like his life in Chicago, and like to just kind of get the whole essence of where I want to bring the brand, kind of a thing. So I can tell the story through the apparel and just through the branding of the brand, So.
Yeah. Where do you see the cultural heritage of your grandfather and your family? Like, where does it come into the design process? Like, how does it inform that?
So my grandfather, like, he's Mexican. Like, he told it in the story, like his father, helped Pancho Villa's army and all that, and then eventually came to the States, and then but they landed in Chicago, in Chinatown, which was like a melting pot of cultures. So it's not necessarily, even though it's añejo, or Spanish for old or antique, it's meant for all cultures, a melting pot. The sense urban añejo, so we got the bilingual sense to it.
Yeah. Which I think is cool, especially given the region we grew up in, like Northern California.
Oh, absolutely.
So diverse.
Exactly. So, and that's kind of where he was. He talks about hanging out with the Polish kids, the Irish kids, the Mexicans, the Chinese, and so it's the same thing here in California.
It's like your crew.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure. Yeah.
So we all come from different backgrounds. We all have different heritage. But like I said, it's meant for all cultures and brands. But the quote, or the slogan is empowered by where you come from. So it doesn't have to be of Spanish culture. It can be of anywhere. Everybody's got some sort of family history, and let that empower you for the next generations to come.
That's sick. Like, this isn't necessarily about the brand, but where do you think, like, why is that so important to know where you came from, to know, to like, especially from like a cultural heritage standpoint, like, why is that so important about people's futures? Like, how do you see that informing even like your future?
Well, it gives you a foundation. You know, a lot of people, you know, they do the 23andMe, or you know, people want to know where they're from. You know, and because people find out they're related to celebrities and things of that sort, and it makes you have some sort of belonging. It makes you feel like you're a part of something, and you know, and it like I said, it gives you that foundation. You know, your origin story. You know, every you know, which came first, the chicken or the egg. Everybody wants to know where what was first, where they came from. So it's empowering to give yourself kind of like an identity, you know, a baseline for your identity.
That's interesting. So let's talk about the pieces themselves and the design of them. Talk to me about like inspirations of some brands that you're referencing. Like, I know them, but I want these people to know. But like, talk to me about that. Like, what was some brand inspirations, some references?
I mean, I'm a big Fear of God fan. I'm a big fan of Jerry Lorenzo's designs. Just the layering, the color schemes, the textures, those are things that resonated with me. And it's funny because before I even started this or when I started researching garments and things that I liked, I didn't know a whole lot about what trendy fashions were. I just knew what I liked. And I just happened to stumble upon Fear of God, which happens to be one of like the top brands right now. Yeah, brands right now. And it just, like I said, it resonated with me. And it spoke to me, and it's like that's kind of almost the same flavor that I want to bring with some of the future pieces, because right now we're only doing introductory pieces. This is just the baseline of where to get started. But eventually we want to start getting to the cut and sew business, where we're designing specific garments and cuts that really showcase the story that I've been wanting to tell.
It's funny too that you bring up Jerry Lorenzo, because I listened to another podcast. Shout out to Business of Hype on Hype Beast.
I know. I heard that one. Yeah.
Yeah. That was a good one. But he talks about how like he also came from, you know, he didn't come from the fashion industry. He didn't come from like, he didn't plan on being a designer.
Right.
He just liked what he liked. Do you feel that intuition, or like that natural intuition kind of plays a bigger role in your design, more so than like researching like, okay, this shape says this, like the more like the theory of design, you know? Right. He just liked what he liked, and it sounds like you're coming from the same way. Do you feel like you get more natural expression of your motivations through just like working off of your intuition, or are there still kind of like gaps that you're seeing because of that lack of theory?
I just go by what I like.
You just go by feel.
I go by feel. If aesthetically it speaks to me, then it works for me, and that's kind of the motto I've been going with, kind of a thing. It's just, if I like it, I like it. If I don't, I don't. And I know, and it's the funny part too is because like I've always had like a different style growing up. I didn't fit the mold. I didn't always go with the what was hyped. You know, of course, you know, over the years, you know, you do pick up a few things from what's trendy, but for the most part, I always had my own flair to things. You know, and now that's what I'm doing now is I'm taking what I like, adding my own flair to it, and then making it mine. You know, it's just yeah.
Did anyone else like inform like the designs up to this first collection? Like, did you run designs by people, or you're like, yo, this is what I want? No, it doesn't matter what you say. Like,
I knew what I wanted, but of course I ran it by my wife.
Oh yeah, dude! Shout out Megan, wherever you're at. You always run everything by Megan. Oh, I run everything by Megan still. Like, for everybody that doesn't know, Megan is on our Arrows digital team, and she runs the show, so It's all good. But outside of you and Megan, you kept it very internal.
Very internal. Just, it's like I said, I know what I like, and I know I have a vision for what I want to do. I got a vision board in my office. You know, I know exactly the flavor that I want, and if it's not bringing the flavor, the essence that I want, scrap it.
That's sick to me, because it's like at the end of the day, you know, even if it sells one piece or a million pieces, you're the one that has to live with the byproduct of the brand.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a passion project. I'm not in it for, you know, to be the next hype beast collection.
It'd be sick though.
It would be nice. It would be nice to put make a pretty penny off that, but
that's
like
not the motivation.
The whole thing is the legacy part of it, and that's, you know, if I make some money, I make some money. If I don't, I don't. You know,
that's tight, man. Usually, I'm gonna say right now, I'm gonna visualize it. Like usually, when people start speaking that way, that's when things really pop off. Because I was just talking to somebody about this the other day. Like, if money is the goal, mm-hmm. you'll always be unsatisfied.
Yeah.
You'll always have anxiety. You'll always have like this lack of contentment because that money's infinite.
Yeah. Was it Bob Marley that said that? Or he said,
I would love it if me and Bob Marley are on the same vibe right now, because I've never heard him. I don't really.
It was Bob Marley talking about where money is numbers and numbers never end. So chasing it, you're never going to be satisfied.
Because I remember that, like, even, you know, like in my very short stint in corporate America, like I was like trying to chase this next thing, and it was all tied to a dollar amount. And I was like, okay, I hit that goal, but why do I still feel empty?
Yeah.
So it's cool that you're coming at it from like not that mindset. I see a lot of people do that.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, there's nothing wrong with having money. Like, there's nothing wrong with chasing money and having that as kind of like a secondary motivator, but
it can't be it.
It can't be the main concern. Like, because that will drive you bonkers.
Shout out Dwight. Come on the show. Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I've been fiending for this jacket, dude. So
that varsity jacket.
I need it. So yeah, so give us a rundown of all the pieces like that we'll be expecting.
So we have it's like I said, introductory pieces. So we have two what I call the pilot tees. One comes in black, classic black, and the other one comes in a heather olive. So it kind of has like the same antique or older feel as like Fear of God, or, you know.
How'd you come up with those colors?
That's what they had in stock, and that's you know, that's what they got in stock, and that's what I was kind of, because everybody needs a go-to black tee. Everybody needs a go-to black tee. Those like band tees, they all come in black. You know, something that you can just grab easy in the rotation. And then I also wanted something that kind of had that brought the flavor of the brand. So that's why I added the secondary pilot tee and the heather olive. Then of course we have the Burning Man, which is the shirt I'm actually wearing now. This is it's a long sleeve, perfect for the cooler weather we got now. Keep you warm, bring the fuego.
Yeah.
And then we have
hot boy season.
Hot boy, summer's over.
Yeah, summer's over, dude.
But we got, and then of course we have. I needed an accessory, so we decided to add the black ash dad hat. So it's like a vintage.
Fiending for that one too. Yeah. Fiending for that one too.
So dad hats, they're in, you know, but we went with a more vintage look to it to add that flavor. And then of course the final piece of the collection is one of probably like my favorite one, is the varsity jacket.
Yes, fiending for that one too.
So the reason why I decided to incorporate the varsity jacket is because in the original photo that I mentioned, the four brothers photo with my grandfather, one of them's in a baseball jersey, and so part of their growing up, they played a lot of sports, and so also we want that same feel a part of a team kind of a feel with it, bringing part of your team, your family. So we went with the varsity jacket as well. So that's the whole collection.
That's
right there.
Sick, man. Yeah. I can't wait. I'm biased as hell, but I can't wait.
I'll take it.
I mean, honestly, like just objectively too, like that's a fire jacket, dude.
Yeah.
So if anybody's trying to buy your boy a jacket, like if everyone sees this, you know what to get me. But so like I guess the good way to end this for me is give me kind of like the vision that you have for this. Like I know it's a passion project, but I know you can't help but think about the future. You know, like. Or are you trying to just stay present? Like, are you thinking about where you're taking this?
Honestly, I've really just been living in the present and just trying to take it one day at a time.
I'm jealous, dog.
Yeah, Well, because I if I think too much about the future and where it could go, what it could possibly, if it tanks, if it takes off, that's just gonna leave me stressed. I got enough other worries. I got a house, I got a dog, I got a wife. It's like let me just worry about what's going on right now. Let me accept it for what it is and let it be a staple or a building brick in our family. Let it be something that kind of brings us together. Excuse me. Yeah. So.
Oh man, that's sick, man. Like I just had another podcast with a couple of friends where we talked about like staying present, like being in the moment, and that's going to be like a real root of happiness. And so that's a personal journey for me right now. So respect to you and your presentness on this project. Because for me, I'm like, yo, what's happening in 12 months? Like
I'm really only looking as far as like.
What about grizzly bear life? Since that's more of like your day to day, do you think that way with that too? Like kind of just like,
Yeah, I mean, there's like, for instance, there's room for growth within the company I'm working with. So I'm just taking it one day at a time. I'm just trying to build my team, get it nice and strong, get them up to par, get them, functioning at the rate that I'm functioning at, make sure they're satisfied, make sure they're fed and paid for, and then see where that takes me.
Damn. You mentioned your wife and the dog and the house and all this. Like, where do you, because basically you have Grizzly Bear Life and Urban Añejo that you're building and developing and growing. That's a lot, dude. Like, a lot of people if you don't understand what it is like to get a brand off the ground, like, it's fucking crazy. So
it's a lot of work.
So you had two of those. Like, how do you balance, like, I know you just got married a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah.
Sick day.
It was pretty.
I had a lot of sugar though, so I got rocked a little bit. Yeah. Sorry, Megan. Megan was like, "Why aren't you dancing?" I'm like, "Yo, I'm about to take a poop." Like, lots of poop right here. Anyways, that's not gonna get cut. Like, that's a real ass story. Yeah. Anyways, so there's a responsibility on that side too, on the personal side of things. How do you manage all that?
Just making like staying present, not letting it take control of my life. I do have nights where like I can't shut off and I want to keep working, but we still make time for each other. We still eat meals together. We have a show that we watch together.
What's that show?
Life in Pieces.
Okay.
Is it
good?
It's hilarious.
All right.
As an adult, it's hilarious.
Okay.
As a child, you might not get it, but yeah. So we make time to spend with each other. Like, occasionally go out on dates. Still make her a priority. Still make sure these things are priorities in my life, and don't get blinded by what could be. And that's part of why I don't try to look too far into the future, is because I don't want that to blind what I have in front of me already. I want to, I've got a great life with my wife. I got a great life at this home. I got a great life with my dog. I don't want those to get overshadowed by these projects.
This is a question just for me. I probably won't run this one. If Urban Añejo turns into something crazy, you still gonna do Grizzly Bear Life?
Probably. Yeah.
That's sick.
This is what I love. This is it's part of who I am now. This is fitness. Fitness is something that I can't just ignore. It's something like I try to run from it in the past, but this is who I am.
That's tight.
I gotta help people.
Damn, dude, that's cool. That's super cool. I mean, again, like you said, like you would do it for free.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
I mean, there's no point in stopping, I guess, just because you got a crazy big old brand on you. That's awesome, man. Well, Keoni, thank you so much for being on the show.
Of course.
Being one of my first guests. I appreciate it so much. I'm sure you'll be on it again when the first collection comes out and, go into second collection. Well, I guess you're not thinking about second collection. My bad. But, like, I'm sure you'll be a recurring guest. But to kind of cap things off, like, where can people find you on social if they want to keep up with the developments?
So the two best places to find me would be Instagram. Both my Instagrams, one for Grizzly Bear Life and all the fitness needs, and would be at grizzlybear_life. And then the second one would be Urban Añejo without the N-Y. So it'd be an N because they can't do that on Instagram.
Come on, Instagram.
Come on, so we need some bilingual Instagram.
Yeah, we need some ethnics in here. Yeah. Come on, bro. But yeah, thanks everybody for spending some time with us. Again, this is thank you to my guest Keoni, and I'm Josh Cosico with Arrows Digital. Please check back in for the next episode of Arrows Podcast. Follow us on social media at Arrows Digital. You can also follow me on my personal page for all my tomfoolery at Joshua Cosico, JOSHUACOSICO. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next episode.